Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. Let me see if I can get this set up a little better. Can you see me all right? Make sure try to get rid of that glare on my glasses. That always bothers me. So anyway, here we are at the beginning of April, right before Easter Sunday. So maybe many of you are really busy with family plans and things like that. But if you have time to sew this morning, I am glad that you can be here. So I will share a little bit of what I am sewing with today and show you some progress that I've made on some of my projects. I've got my coffee here. And we'll just wait a few minutes and see if somebody joins us here. I know it's probably a busy weekend for everybody. I know in our area, this is yesterday or today is the start of spring break. And so I can say that that's my favorite time of year, to have spring break and to be the one staying home. The roads are so much less congested, and it's a really pretty time of year here usually. And so I'm always happy to be at home during spring break. We've tried going away for spring break before. We've done that a couple of times when the kids were still at home, and we did have some nice vacations. But boy, it was busy trying to get ready and go and then come back and then jump right back into school. And so that wasn't always the best thing for us. So I have to say we didn't do that often. So hello, good morning, welcome. Glad to see you here today. I'm just getting started. I've just got my coffee here, and I'm gonna be showing you what I'm working on this morning. And just talking about this being beginning of April and spring break here in Indiana for a lot of schools. And but I'm the one that likes to stay at home and enjoy the roads being and everything being just a little bit quieter with so many people gone, since it's such a big travel time. However, I say I'm gonna be home, but there is one day I'm gonna be gone. One day next week, going to pick up my mom, and she's gonna be coming to stay here with us for a few weeks. So I will be doing some of the travel along with everybody else. It's a good time for me to go and try to find more license plates. Do you play the license plate game when you travel? We always look for license plates and keep track and see if we can get all of them. And when we crisscross the country, we can either find all the ones in the eastern states or all the ones in the western states, but we usually can't get all of them. So, but it's a fun game to try, just to keep you from getting completely bored on the road. So, welcome and good morning. My name is Stephanie, and I am the Everyday Sewist. And if you haven't been here before, I appreciate you joining me today. And I'm just going to be doing some Saturday morning sewing and trying to make some progress on a couple of my projects. And I've got a little bit of show and tell for you. And so we're just hopefully you've got something that you're working on, and tell me in the comments. Tell me if you what kind of project you're working on, whether it's sewing or knitting or crochet or cross stitch or any of those things. Maybe you've got a binding that you can sew down while we're chatting this morning. And wouldn't it be great to get that binding done while we're just visiting and hanging out. So I hope you've got something to do, something to work on, and let me know if you can hear me okay. I think everything is working. I'm pretty sure that the microphone and everything like that is good, but if you're having any trouble, let me know. And so my first project this morning, I started the Bonnie Hunter mystery in November when it first started, and I did most of the clues as we were going on along through December. She gives us one clue per week of a unit to sew, but we don't know where that unit is. We know what colors we're supposed to use. You can change out the colors if you want to. Oh, pressing and cutting scraps. Oh, good for you. That is such a good thing to get done. And I really hope that by doing these little chat and sew, that if it helps you get some of those little chores done, if at least that's a, I'm sorry, pressing and cutting scraps is a chore for me. Is it? I don't always look forward to it, but I know I need to work on it consistently. So I have to have something to motivate me, like a project in mind that I really want to get some scraps cut for. So if this helps you get to sewing and pressing or doing binding or doing things like that, then that's wonderful. So anyway, so I started the Bonnie Hunter mystery back in November, and I don't think I really worked on it any in February, March, and I just consciously had decided to put it aside for a little while. But I'm bringing it back out over the last couple of days, and this is the block that I'm making. This is called the lupine block, and it is one of two blocks that we are making for the quilt. Now, I would probably never sit down and make this block on my own. I would be intimidated by these half rectangle blocks. I would look and go, oh, it's just too much piecing. It's just too much. But the brilliant thing that Bonnie does is that one week way back in December, all we did was stitch a whole bunch of sets of pink and neutral half square triangles. That's it. Sets of 4, made a whole bunch of them, put them in a baggie, and set them aside. And then another week, we made the smaller, where are we? The smaller set of half square triangles. Put them in a baggie, and oh, good, Deborah. Yep, I'm hoping that somebody will get some binding done. Are you at the beach still, or are you home? Working on the binding. That's good. And then another week, we made these half rectangle units. And that system really worked for me, because that meant that during that week or that time that I was working on the half rectangles, that's all I was thinking about accomplishing. I wasn't trying to think about where it would go, whether, it fit doing the quarter blocks or anything like that. All I did was make sets of these half rectangles and set them aside. So her system of breaking a block down into these other units really, really works for me. And even though I don't know what it's going to be, I know, let's see. I know that I like the colors of it. And so I'm hopefully going to like the quilt when it's done. So this was the other block that we made. And I don't know if it has a name, but this was the other block that we made. And again, 1 week we made these little hourglass units that had, 3 color hourglass units. So we learned how to do that. If you didn't know how to do that, you learned how to do that. We did more half square triangles. And then we did this other unit that is not quite a flying geese, but we didn't know where those units were going to go. But we learned how to make them. And so I have made all the blocks that I need to make of this one. These are all done. I don't know, there were 24 or 25 of them. But again, the great thing is at one point, I think it was just putting this 9 patch kind of a unit together. That was the job for 1 week, I think. It was a while ago, so I'm not completely positive of the layout. But anyway, so these blocks are all done. And now I need to make 25 of these. And I have all my little block kits. I have all my sets of 4 together, and have them all sitting here next to me with some of the light blue that I've cut, and I had to quickly cut some more centers and some more of those strips. And I'm going to be working on that today. So I have 12 of these blocks done. And if I could sew a few more today, then that would be fantastic. My goal is just to, like, once I get the 2 sets of blocks done, then I know we alternate the blocks when we lay them out. I just don't know. I don't remember if I start with one of these in the corner, or I think I start with one, but I don't know. One of those or one of the other ones in the corner, and then lay them out. And then there's some borders and stuff like that. If you like this block design, the pattern is available for purchase on her website, which is quiltville.com. If you participate enough to, let me get a leader ender here. If you participate enough in it to download the clues while it's going on, then you can get all of the clues for free in the order that she presents them during the mystery, of course. If you purchase the pattern later, after she takes it down off of her blog, I believe, and I don't know because I've not had to buy it yet. I believe that she reorders, puts all of the clues into a different order instead of it being a mystery. Of course, you know what you're making. And I think she formats it a little bit differently. But like I said, what I really like about her approach is I like just making that one unit, that one part, at a time and not worrying about what the whole block looks like. So, anyway, I am really, really happy to be able to be working on this again. And when I started sewing these blocks together, I was amazed at how quickly and easily they came together. And so there's the trade-off. I spent all of the earlier clues in the months, December and a little into January, sewing all those units. And now sewing the blocks together is a breeze. I mean, it sews together like a 9-patch. So I think I'll get these 25 blocks sewn together pretty quickly. I got my trash container right here. I'm not throwing stuff on the floor. I was just looking for my trash container. Oh, so one other funny little thing. I think you can see behind me, I have gray carpeting down in my sewing room. And at the time, I replaced the carpeting about 6 or 7 years ago, I think it was. So in my estimation, because it doesn't get a lot of use, it still feels fairly new to me. And but the mistake that I made is I went from a Berber carpet that was a little bit denser and not quite as thick and fluffy to this carpeting that I thought would be really nice because this is a basement. I thought, oh, it would keep, things a little more insulated and be really nice on my feet when I'm standing at the long arm. I had all these reasons why I thought it'd be really nice. But my floor, my chair just would drag, and I would have so much trouble pulling myself back into where I sat and pushing out. So the funny thing is, I just recently, in the last couple days, I put a chair mat down, right? I suppose I could have done that a long time ago, but I just finally got around to putting a chair mat down. So if you see me push myself back and go flying back, it's because I've forgotten that I don't need to push very hard to move my chair one way or another. I can move my chair so much more easily now. And I'm really glad I did that. But at the same time, I've caught myself a couple of times just flying back there as I'm getting ready to do a big push through heavy carpet. And anyway, so if you are doing different flooring, like if you need to change the flooring in your sewing area, don't go for the big thick carpet. I learned that lesson, and of course I'm going to have to live with it now. And I think the only time that it's really an issue is with the chairs that I have on. All the chairs are on rollers. All my furniture is on those sliding plastic discs. I keep all the furniture on that. Everything is. I probably bought 3 or 4 packs of those discs so that I could have them under everything, so that they wouldn't cut permanent holes into the carpet. And I have moved stuff around from time to time. Not often, because of course it's a really huge job. But anyway, okay, so you had the opposite. You have, oh yeah, see, that's what I'm afraid of, that with my newfound mat under my chair, I do go flying. And I just tried those washable rugs up in our kitchen because we have hardwood flooring that's up in the kitchen area and had it redone like a year ago. So I wanted to protect it a little bit, and I those washable rugs uh, uh, seem to be really nice and really flat. So if you have that LVT flooring, I got the less expensive brand on off from Amazon, and got a couple of those little mats. And so far, I haven't had them that long, but so far I really like them. So yeah, yes, I'm afraid I'm going to go flying across the floor. So a little more stitching here. I have to figure out what my center is. I need a pink center on here. Let's try this one. I got to get a little bit of sewing done here. So, does anybody else pay attention to the schedule for spring break where they live? Is that something that affects your daily going about and errands and things like that during spring break? Because around here, it seems like the town really empties out. And I like it that way. Oh, you found the rugs at Target. Okay. All right. I do probably need to make a Target run. So one of the other things that's going on around here is, oh, did I sew that to the wrong side? I might have sewn that to the wrong side. All right. I said we're gonna go, and so we live in Indiana. My mother lives in New York, and she's gonna be staying with us for a little while. And let's move this like this. We go to she doesn't drive anymore, so my brother will drive her, and we will meet in Pennsylvania off the highway and exchange the goods. Get her from his car into my car and bring her here. And so, and she stayed with us before, but this time we're doing things a little differently. She's always had a bedroom upstairs. But we have a cat now, and this cat gets underfoot all the time. And so we decided to give her a bedroom down on the main level. So, because I'll tell you, this cat like zips in and out of your feet on the stairs. And I thought that's the last thing we need. That would mess everything up. So she does pretty well for the health issues that she has. And we do not want to see her falling down the stairs because of the cat. So there was a lot of prep involved in getting turning that office into a bedroom, and freshening it up and all of that. So the reason I was saying that is because I need to go to Target. The problem with getting things on Amazon is that you all know this, it's really hard to tell color and tell what the print really looks like online. And when you get it in your hand, it just is totally different than what you thought it was going to look like. So I want to go to Target and I want to get a shower curtain and a couple of things like that where I can really see the colors and pick out what I want, so that I can freshen things up a little bit. Because we've been in this house for 25 years, and it's not a bad time to do a little updating. So it's not like we do that all the time. So I'm perfectly happy to give it a little bit of a refresh. But those washable rugs, I think, are going to be, so far, what I had been a little, not worried, but I'd been concerned that maybe those rugs would be too thick and that you might catch your feet on it or they might start curling up. And if that happens, then I don't want them around, because I don't want them, getting kicked up and becoming a tripping hazard. So I'm hoping that we're not going to have any issues like that. And maybe it's because they're new enough that I haven't noticed anything like that yet. So just a couple of the things that we're, working through, and extra little chores and things that need to be done. So I got the top half of the block done, and I forget what size blocks these finish at. I think it's, I don't know, maybe 9. I don't know. I don't really remember. I'm sure she probably says in the pattern what size blocks they finish at. So is anybody gearing up for some travel this spring? I will tell you that kind of ahead of time, I put a list again into the description box of some events and shows that are coming up in the next few months. And one of them is very local to me, and I'm debating, I'm not sure I'm going to get a chance to participate or not. I'm hoping I am, but it's after my mom gets here, and so I don't know that I want to take the whole day to go and attend this event, which would be my preference. I'd rather just go and be there in person, because I just get more out of it when it's in person. But it is also via Zoom. And I don't know if you have ever heard of the Quilters Hall of Fame. It's in Marion, Indiana. So that's only about a little over an hour from me. And there is a quilt seminar on a week from today from 10 to 4. And I would like to be able to go in person, but it's a fundraiser for the Quilters Hall of Fame. And so some of the of our local quilters are doing presentations that all sound really, really interesting to me. And you may not have heard of some of these quilters, but believe me, they are so accomplished, and I really I've heard Dr. Tony Dickerson. I've heard her speak before. Love her. She's just so interesting. Maureen Moe has an amazing collection of quilts, antique into modern, and she studies them and is going to be sharing some of her collection of quilts. Lee helped me just the other day with something tech wise. And so she knows her stuff on tech. Barb Triscari is the chair for Sacred Threads. And we just heard her speak about Sacred Threads. So she's the new chairperson there. And she's so accomplished and so inventive in her quilting. And Carol is also same, has won a lot of awards at our local shows for her work. So and what's neat is that they're all doing that. They're just volunteering their time in order to raise money for the Quilters Hall of Fame. And we're lucky enough that we can go there, you know, for an afternoon or for a day. And I've seen several exhibits there. And it's just a really, really great resource to just another place that hopefully we can keep going to, keep museums alive. So if you have an interest or time, you could look that up on the Quilters Hall of Fame website and make a donation and catch some of those on Zoom or in person next Saturday. And what I don't know is I don't know if those sessions are being recorded so that you could watch them later. I don't have the answer for that. So it would have to be something you would have to find out through the website or by calling them. And if I find out, then I can put it into the description box later. But at the moment, I don't know. So my leader ender today, you know about leader enders? When I stop a line of stitching, I make another unit for something else, for another project, in order to get this out from behind my machine so that I can sew the next seam. And so my current leader ender is sewing a 1.5 by 2.5, and you've seen this before. I'm still working on this project. This has been going on for a long time, nothing new. So hope but that's just the way it is. So I sew one of these to a 2.5-inch square, and I need piles and piles and piles of them because I've decided that this is such a useful size to cut. I can cut these pieces from leftover bits of 2.5-inch strips and then just make 1.5-inch subcuts. So I can use, and so I've been chopping, finding leftover like small pieces of my 2.5-inch strips, and I'll cut. So what I do is I lay out my 2.5-inch strip of whatever I want to kind of get rid of. I'll cut as many 2.5 by 4.5-inch bricks as I can. And then usually at the end of that strip, I have enough left Like if I have 3 inches left, I'll get 2 of these pieces out of it. So it helps me kind of get the last little bit out of a strip before and then then there's like really no trash. There's just so little left that I feel like I can get the best use out of my fabric. So that's my leader ender. I sew them together, and then I am making columns with them. Lots and lots of columns. And so the columns are going to be 90 inches. I'm pretty sure that's what I've decided, 90 inches. So I need 30, was it 30 of them? I think I'm doing in a column. And then I need like 40 columns. So roughly I need around 1,500 of those, something like that. So that's my leader ender, and I was working on it a lot in March, and then I just decided in the last few days that I need to kind of back off of that. Has that happened to you? Like I just felt like it was taking all of my time, but I didn't want it to be the primary project, because as I was working on that, it meant that I wasn't working on this. And so I just didn't like having that as my primary project. So I'm switching gears again and making it my leader ender. And then as I get scraps from projects, like I still have quite a bit of fabric left from this that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be needing a whole lot more fabric for this quilt. I'll keep it together until the binding is on. I mean, until it's really, really done, until I know exactly what I'm doing for binding and for backing, because I'll probably end up doing a piece backing. Maybe. I'm pretty sure I will. And so once that project is done, I'm trying to, like, since I have so many scraps, I'm trying to process them when a quilt is done and before I put that stuff back. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Well, I have years of accumulated scraps when I haven't been doing that. So finally trying to get in the groove here and deal with the scraps as I make them, and try to have these scrappy projects going all the time so that I can move them on. Because if I'm not going to move them on, I'm going to pass them along. So I will have a new episode coming out probably by next weekend. And speaking about scraps, I'm going to be doing a little giveaway. So if you want to see what kind of scraps I'm giving away, because like I said, I have just way, way, way too many, then come in and watch the next episode 21, and find out how to get some new scraps, because somebody else's scraps, I think, are way more fun than your own. Have you found that? Have you noticed that? I have recently discovered that, and I'm going to show you. So this fabulous pile of scraps is from my friend Jane. She just brought them over to me the other day. And I am so excited to dig into her scraps because they're new and different for me. And she knows that I'm doing this one with the 1.5 by 2.5. And look at this. See, I'm going to get some new fabrics to put into my 1.5 by 2.5 inch project. And it's going to be great. And then some of them I have pulled out to use for a couple of other scrappy projects that I have going on. And so it's just so fun to have somebody else's scraps. So if you think that also is something that you would find fun, then you can get in on the action. And I will be sending out little scrap bags to whoever follows the instructions. And it's free. You don't pay anything. I'm just finding new homes for them. Okay. So Deborah, you are still traveling. Okay. When is the musical? Is this the school year is getting pretty close to being finished? Getting to be the last few weeks of school around here. Our schools end before Memorial Day. In Indiana, we school is out before Memorial Day. And so this is the last few weeks of school. And so I think, the sports seasons and final musicals and all that kind of stuff, I think that's all wrapping up. So is that true also Deborah, I think you said, are you in California now? We do hope to do a little bit of traveling, either while my mother is here or after she goes back out east. We'll plan out a couple little trips. We like going out to Colorado. If you don't know that about us or about me, I love the mountains. If you have a favorite mountainy place, I guess, place to go, give me your recommendations. The last couple of years, we've spent most of our time in Colorado exploring different areas there. We don't have anything against going anywhere else. It's just that's where we have been heading lately. And we like it so much that we're thinking about moving there. All right, there's another one. There's one more. So now I'm up to lucky 13. But real estate right now there is pretty crazy expensive. And it's kind of funny because in this little bit of swapping, we swapped an office for a bedroom and found out just how much stuff you can cram into one little office, huh? It was crazy how much stuff was in that one room. And so you magnify that times so many rooms in a house. And I've been decluttering now for a couple of years. I'm almost always looking for reducing and moving stuff along, which is one reason why I'd be happy to have somebody else have my scraps. It's like I am not going to be able to there's no way I will ever be able to use all the scraps and all the fabric that I have. So I would rather move them along. So in the background here, you can see behind me all of my shelves of fabric on bolts, because I used to have a store for a couple of years. I had a small fabric store, and that's what was left. And so I brought it home with me, and it's been really great having all of that. It really has. I use that fabric a lot. I really do. It just doesn't look like I've used any. So that's why I'm saying it's just crazy that how many yards of fabric does one person need. And so I'm in the process of always trying to, let's say, get ready for a downsize of some sort. And whether it happens in the next couple of years or whether it's 5 years from now, who knows? Welcome. I see a couple of other people have popped in here. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're sewing something. Hope you're working on something. If you missed anything about what I'm working on, just ask. Just put that in the chat, and I'll show you again what I'm doing and what I'm working on. So anybody else in that same boat of knowing that they have more than they can use, and what are you going to do about it? You have a plan? I guess after having gone through my dad's stuff, and now we're helping my mother get rid of a lot of her stuff while she's, she's still alive. And so I said, she's coming here, but she's not going to be staying in her apartment for much longer. So we're helping her go through all of her stuff and figuring out what's really the most important stuff for her to keep. But I feel like I want to do some of that now for myself on my things. I want to, I don't want to hang on to things forever and ever. So I'm always looking at what I can find new homes for. And that includes my quilts. I love making quilts. There's no shortage of quilts in my house. I could give away 20 quilts tomorrow and I still have oodles left, and I'm going to keep making oodles more. So last summer, I gave away about 3 dozen or more quilts to my cousins and their families, because I realized that I had never given them any quilts. So they had a big family reunion, and I sent, like I said, I sent over 3 dozen quilts, all different sizes, but sent a whole bunch of stuff for them. And they loved it. They had such a good time choosing out and picking the ones that they wanted to take home. But my cabinets are still full. And so I either need to find some more clever ways to keep them, store them, or I keep finding and hearing about organizations or um, people who need a hug, a quilt hug. So whenever those occasions come up, I'm glad to say that I usually have something. But that is starting to shape like how I actually use and make quilts now. I have been, I've had some requests for some guy quilts. And so I try to remember that sometimes when I see like I love the Villa Rosa patterns because they're usually fairly simple to put together. And I really do need to make another one or two and keep like some of those simpler ones, those good throw size, because especially for someone who's undergoing treatment, whether it's for various health issues, those are ones that I feel like if I could keep a couple of them at the ready, they'd be really nice to be able to give to somebody when I hear about someone who's in the hospital, for a while. And so I'd like to keep, I do keep some quilts separated out for ones that I know that I'd be happy to give away. And then always making more. So always making stuff. Okay, your first week in May, school is okay. So Deborah, you're saying that school ends the first week in May for your grandkids? That's earlier than us. Or are you saying that you go back to Texas in the first week in May? Maybe that's what you mean. So Deborah, did you bring things that needed to be bound that were already quilted? Did you have a stack of quilts that you had to do binding on and you brought them with you? Oh, hi, Susan. You're in Florida. Okay. And when does school end in Florida? Not that you maybe have school age kids, but it does. My mind still kind of goes by the school year as things just change. I actually started a little bit of gardening. I know that you're not supposed to do a lot until, in our area, not until around beginning of May. But I had some rhubarb that the rhubarb we had 2 plants, and they'd been in the ground for I think probably 7 or 8 years, I think is. Yes, we start. Okay. Susan, same here. They start early August. It's taken me 20 years to go from being raised in New York, where school started in September and ended in June. I'm still not used to them finishing in May and starting back the first week in August. It always hits me by surprise there. Um, so I dug up my 2 rhubarb plants and thought it was time to divide them because last year we really got mostly just really skinny sticks of rhubarb, and it it just seemed like they weren't thriving the way they used to be. So I dug them up and um, divided them up, and so far so good. Uh, it looks like they're growing. I mean, the leaves had not started unfurling yet, and they are now. Um, so I'm really hopeful. And besides the fact that it was really great, a really great giveaway to lots of my friends who had wanted some. There's another one. So if you are just joining me, this is the block that I'm sewing up today. It is the Bonnie Hunter Mystery from that started in November last year, finished in January this year. What I mean by finished is that all the quilt was revealed in January, and then you had a month or so, maybe end of the month, to download the clues, which I did. And now I'm getting around to finishing this second set of blocks, and this one is the one she calls the lupine block. So I need 25 of these, and I have done 2 so far this morning, and already had 12. So this is just great for me to be able to. I would hopefully just be having a chance to sit and sew this morning anyway, and so. But like I said before, oh, hi, Skippy. So outside my window here, I love my little view. I'm in the basement, but we have two windows that have a decent view. I forget the name of that type of window because it goes down a little far. There's like a window well, but I can see sky and I can see the bird bath, and Skippy the squirrel it was sitting there looking at me and probably wondering why I was talking to myself. I'm sure he can hear voices through the glass. We don't feed Skippy. He But I've just given him a name, that's all. Because I'm quite sure he's the same guy that comes around and is here year round. So no, but we don't feed them. But the other thing I did in gardening this week is I got my hummingbird feeders out because we've gotten hummingbirds before. I put a feeder up for the first time last fall when they were migrating south. And so, Susan, do you get hummingbirds where you are in Florida? Because that's what I understand, is that the hummingbirds that migrate through Indiana going north spend their winters, I guess, in Florida and maybe Louisiana, I guess, Georgia. I'm not sure how far south they go, but they're supposed to be starting to come through this way again on their way up north. And so I got my feeders out yesterday, cleaned them out, made some of the sugar water to put in it. And I haven't seen any yet, but hopefully we will get some of the ones that stopped on their way down. Hopefully they'll stop on their way up. They're really fun to watch. And that's the only kind of wildlife, I would say, that I feed. we have tried feeding squirrels and putting bird food out and things like that, but it makes too much of a mess. And I'm fine with just providing them with a bird bath. They all use the bird bath, and that's easy enough. Oh, you do? Good. And so you do get do you put out bird feeders for the hummingbirds? Or is that, maybe it's not your thing, but just curious. So anybody in, I think through the Midwest, if you're in the Midwest, this is the season to feed them. Other than that, like I said, I just like the bird bath. The bird bath gets used so much, and I can keep it clean and it doesn't make a mess. And I go out there every day and freshen it up, and there's a little show. As a matter of fact, if you look on my Instagram page, there's a post from last year where I swear there was a neighborhood bird party in our bird bath. There must have been 15 or 20 birds all trying to get in there at the same time. And it's not that big a bird bath. It's just the regular size bird bath. But there was a lot of splashing going on there. And when they were done, I had to go out and put some more water in it because it had gotten all splashed out. It was so cute though. And I think the water is really, really important to all the birds during the hot summer months. But I think they do pretty well finding their own food. So, so the hummingbird feeders that I bought, I got them on Amazon. It's a colored glass. One of them is more reddish, and it's like blown glass. So it has different colors in it, and one of them is more red, and one of them is maybe a little bit more blue. But they hang together, so hopefully they'll find them. And they're close to the house, but I hope not too close to the house. Because if it was too far away from the house, I wouldn't even see them. They're so tiny, I wouldn't even see them. So, but I can't see them from my window down here. It's a little too far away for that. So that'll be about the extent of my gardening. I might do I might do a pot or two to put outside on the deck. But other than that, I don't do a lot of gardening. It's just not been my strong suit. Let's see. Oh, Deborah, I love that, the Hello Kitty sewing machine. So I'll have to look the little Hello Kitty Genomes up. I have a small Genome. I think they also have a Quilt of Valor version of it. The number, I think it's a 3160, I think is the number of it. And it is a good little machine. It sews quite nicely. That's the machine that I take when I go to my sewing days once a month, because it's really lightweight. And I just sew quilts mostly. I don't do a lot of bag making, so I'm not sure how well it would do with bag making. One of my friends who does a lot of bags, I think she likes her Juki the best. for making bags. Yeah, if I was away, so Deborah, are you in a camper? I think that's what it seemed like the last time I saw you post, that you said you were, so your sewing machine and everything, that's what you bring on your on your trips, and you have your granddaughter's sewing machine. I'm always curious about how people set that up, because if I was going to be gone for any length of time, I think I would still want to sew. I do. I think I would really miss it if I couldn't bring some sewing with me. And so if I, like, when we take if we take a car trip out to Colorado and we're gone for a couple weeks, I usually will bring my sewing machine with me, that little Janome, and I can set it up in a hotel room or wherever we are. So I always just like to have that as a possibility, possible activity. So, what else? So I wanted to tell you about my setup for today. I just thought I would share. Everybody has their favorite threads, right? And so, but today I am sewing with, let's see if I can get this a little closer. I am sewing with Superior Threads. Let's see. I'm so bad at, okay, So Fine. And it's a pale yellow. Look at that. I'm almost done. It's almost gone. So that's what, the one reason why I am sewing with this is because these are light colored blocks, and the yellow thread on the back is really not any different from a white thread. It will function just as well for me as a white thread. And this just did not have very much thread left on it for my long arm, and so I wanted to use it up. And so I will often do that. The So Fine is a 50 weight thread, so that means it's just like, Aurifil is a 50 weight thread. What else? Gutermann is a 50 weight thread. Mettler is a 50 weight, has a 50 weight thread. And so the So Fine works just fine to me for my sewing machine. And if it's the right color, it lets me use up some of those smaller quantities left on my spools and left on bobbins. So I often sew with, I guess you could call it leftover thread, but just the thread I want to use up. So that's what I'm using today. Any thread preferences out there? Any thread questions that you may have? A lot of times on my long arm, or most of the time, I use Signature thread, which is a 40 weight thread, So it's thicker. It's a little heavier. That's what I started out using. And I started out using Signature with my long arming because at the time when I started long arming, how long ago? Almost 20 years ago, I did mostly what I would, I mostly sewed with reproduction style fabrics. So those kind of darker, warmer, toasty colors. And the shop where I worked, I did work at a shop for a really long time. I really liked that style at the time. And I still do use some reproduction colors, do some projects like that. But I liked the Signature thread because it was a little thicker and it was a little bit more rustic looking, I guess you could say. I liked the denser, I like the thread to show a little bit more. If you're doing, who is it that says, I know some of you are long armors as well, so you can please chime in. Please tell your preferences. I think for custom quilting, if I'm doing a really heavy custom quilting, that's more when I use the So Fine thread, because then I don't want the bulk. I don't want a bulky thread. If I'm doing stitching that's a lot closer together, I don't want it to pile up and be bulky. So that's why I keep both kinds of threads in my studio for different uses. Let's see. Pull out another leader ender. Oh, that's right. I said I had a little bit of a show and tell. Let me get that out. So lately, like for the whole month of March, I did not get any project to the finish line, which is just crazy for me. I can almost always get a couple of things finished every month. Partly because if I have all these different projects, I rotate through them, and it's not that I do something from start to finish in 1 month. It's because like this, if I get this mystery quilt done this month, it's because it's already halfway there. I mean, I'm already, half the blocks are done. And so it's possible to, when you have a lot of the work already done, to get the quilt done in a month. But I probably haven't finished anything in, since very end of February, maybe. And so I decided to kind of change things around a little bit. And that's why I said I kind of stopped working on this. I kind of changed my plan for working on this column quilt so that I could actually feel like I was getting something finished. And it'll be so it'll be a couple months. Well, I'm at least where I'm still working on this little leader ender project. So this morning, before I jumped on to the live stream, I wanted to get one more seam sewn so I'd have a little bit more to show you. So let me get that. Oh, there I am. I'm pushing myself away from the chair here or from the table and flying across the room. But I do want to push the chair out of the way a little bit. Let's see. So this is 2/3 of this flannel project. So it has these diamonds. I'll hold it up this way too. Maybe that's better. Can you see that? Is it better if I step back like this? Is that better? So I've shown this a couple of times on my episodes, and the block is, so this diamond is actually like 4 quarter blocks. Can you see how it would be 4 quarters? And what I've decided to do is different from the pattern is that I'm adding this strip to separate these diamond shapes. So I have my extra strip here and in the middle and at the top, on the top edge. And what I had realized is that it's supposed to be 74 by 84, which is a decent size, but the way I had it oriented on my design wall, it was 84 wide and 74 tall. And so I decided I am going to flip-flop it, but I'm going to make it more square. And I'm adding enough neutral strips around the different units so that I can make it 84 by 84. And then I'm actually probably going to add, so if I hold it up again, so I constructed it horizontally like this, in rows going across this way. But when I actually go to use it, because this is the 84 going this direction, 84, I'm actually going to move it so that the 84 is going up and down. And so you can see how the strips are going to be going up and down instead of side to side. I don't think it'll change the look of the quilt very much to have it go this direction. And if I add a couple more rows of those neutrals, top and bottom and on the sides as well, I can make it at least probably 84 by 88, something like that, which for me is like a little bit closer to a usable size. I think that's the way I'm going to go. And so I'm hopefully going to get that top done sooner rather than later, because it's taking up an entire design wall. And I will need the space to be able to lay this out, right? So by the time I finish sewing all of these, I also want that other flannel one off the wall, because so I can use it. Need a little drink there. So hope you're getting a lot done. How is the scrap processing going? Let's see. So Lemon Time, I haven't looked up and I should. I don't know your first name. But I hope you are doing well with your pressing and cutting of your scraps. Hope you're getting it done. I wish I could see a pile of your scraps and see. And so what are you cutting your scraps up for? Are they for a project at this point? Are there standard sizes that you are cutting your scraps for? I bet a lot of people would like to know, because I think that's always a question, is what sizes are going to be good for us to use for our scraps? How do we cut them up? Like I said, I am cutting for the 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. I'm also cutting, and I'm cutting 2 other sizes of rectangles. I'm cutting the 1.5 by 2.5 for these columns that I'm doing. I got a whole pile, and I'm going to cut 2-inch by 3.5 inch. And the reason I'm going to do that size is because if I can't get a 2.5 inch strip out of a scrap, I might be able to get a 2-inch strip. And if I can't get a 2-inch strip out of it, then I go to the 1.5 inch strip. And I will cut some of those strips up to either 1.5 by 2.5, or I'll cut for the whole range of a log cabin quilt that I will make someday. And I have a baker's tray, and I just keep adding to that baker's tray all the different sizes that I need in lights and darks. And at some point I will start sewing log cabin blocks. What I haven't figured out with the log cabin blocks is actually how big I want to make the block. I'm cutting strips up to a 9.5 inch dark. So I could go that size, but I'm also thinking a smaller block would be really, really cute. If it was 6.5 inches instead of 9.5 inches, I think that would give me a lot more design opportunities. Beth. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So, all right. I love to hear how people come up with their handles and their names. So, do you mind telling us what Lemon Time is, what it represents to you? What is your, how did you choose that? I mean, mine is Everyday Sewist, because I realized that was something that I did every day that was really important. I loved being able to do that every day. So that's kind of self-explanatory. But if anybody wants to share how they came up with if their name is different from their handle is different from their name, I think it's really fun to hear your story as to how you chose your name. I'm so bad at picking names. I don't name my quilts. I don't name my car. I don't name my sewing machines. I'm terrible at names. And some of you are so good at it and have such fun, cute names for all of your things. And I just haven't. Okay, so who has a name for their sewing machine? And what is it? Oh, okay. Well, so do you grow a lot of herbs? Because I if I was going to is it too early to plant herbs in the garden? Um, I would there are some herbs that I really, really like to have. I love I love cilantro. Uh, I would love to have chives. The lemon thyme, that do you use that for tea? Iced tea? I do love tea in the see, you have a good name for your machine. Um, yes, so my machine, you can just see the blue top of it here. I really like this little machine. It's I guess you could call it it's vintage. Let me see if I can tip this down a little bit so you can see. Um, I really like this little machine, and I bought it because it was made in Switzerland. That's a Bernina was actually made so long ago that it was made in Switzerland. And I don't know that they all are anymore. And let me turn this here. And I bought it because I really like the blue, like the clear blue, so that you can see when it sews, I can see inside the machine as it's going, and I think that's really cool. But it's a Bernina 153. It's a Virtuosa 153. So it's from many, many years ago. And I bought it used from a quilt store. And I really, really like it. But no, it doesn't have all the features of the newest ones. But I'd say it pretty much does everything I need it to do. It doesn't have the automatic cutter, which could be really nice. A thread cutter. So scissors here. So on the Janome that I have, and I'll bet Deborah, I bet your granddaughter's Hello Kitty machine has a thread cutter on it where you tap the button and and I do like that. So one reason that I use leader and enders when I'm sewing on my Bernina is because it doesn't have the automatic thread cutter. If it did, maybe I wouldn't need to have a leader ender. So those of you that have the machines that do have the thread cutter, it's a nice thing to have, isn't it? Let's get this lined up. But no, I'm haven't named any of my things. The only thing I've named is my kids and my animals. And actually, our cat came to us from our son, and he had already given the cat a name, so we kept the name. So I didn't even have to come up with a name for that kitty. The kitty's name is Lola. And our joke is that whatever Lola wants, Lola gets, because she's such a picky eater. And I think part of the reason she's such a picky eater is because some things just don't sit well with her. She's a little bit older kitty that was not getting along with his other cats. And so we took it in. And so, yes, we just keep trying to get food for her that she will eat. And we suspect that when she doesn't eat it, it's because she knows somehow that it's going to give her intestinal problems. And if she eats it anyway, we pay the price. We're the ones cleaning up after it. So, anyway, she goes through lots of food, or should I say, she doesn't eat it. So we end up having to throw away a lot of food, which is a little frustrating, but it's either that or we end up cleaning up messes. Which, if you have to clean up messes, we bought, when we got her, we bought a Bissell, the carpet cleaner, and those products work fantastically. They have made such a difference. I mean, when we do have to clean up after her, it's really gone. Now I don't have allergies or sensitivities, but it seems to me that it really gets it cleaned up very, very well. And we, unfortunately, like I said, we have to use that little machine a lot. Although it's, like I said, it's getting better. It's we are finding, after a bit of trial and error, we're finding out what works better for her. And she likes a lot of variety. So we end up switching food or giving her a lot of different wet foods. And she hasn't had an accident in several days. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. So but I always feel really bad for her when she has an accident, because I know that means that it just didn't, it was, that's got to feel, I hate feeling nauseous or, upset stomach. I hate that. So she wouldn't be any different. She's probably feels really, really yucky when she's eats something that doesn't sit well with her. And so I feel bad for her when that happens. So, okay, good. We still have plenty of time left. So I am going to get to go on retreat later this month. I am so excited. I have not been on retreat in, it's got to be at least a couple of years. I don't know why. I've not been able to go for quite a while. Probably has something to do with my mom's health. But anyway, I am going on retreat for 2 nights, 3 days. And so I would love to hear if you want to share what's your, and it, retreat sewing is maybe a little different than travel sewing, but you're still bringing things with you. So Deborah, especially, you're traveling. What is something that you are really glad that you brought with you? for sewing? Or was there anything that you brought that you found out that you didn't need, that you haven't used, and you were kind of like, well, that, space is really precious when you're traveling. So you don't want to be bringing a lot of stuff that you're not going to be using, that you don't need. So if anyone has their favorite things, then let me know what those are so that I will be better prepared for my retreat. I might, if I don't have this quilt top, this mystery quilt top done by then, I will very possibly be bringing that as one of my projects to finish. I will, maybe what I will do, a little earlier I was talking about wanting to do another Villa Rosa pattern, especially for something that I can make with some extra fabric and have it ready for someone who I hear about who's having some health problems or needs a little comfort. And so maybe I could cut and bring something like that with me to work on. So I'll have to add a project like that to the list. So last year, okay, here's another one. I wish you guys could show me what you are working on, because I'd love to see your blocks, if you're working on blocks, or Beth, your pile of scraps. I want to see how big your pile of cut scraps are that you're going to have. Oh yes, handwork. Okay. Yes, I do need to plan on bringing some handwork. I'll have to think about that, because I do have in my stash, I have a couple that I haven't started, and so, but I also have I have a couple that I probably would need to do a little bit more prepping to work on. I also have a crochet granny square blanket, and all I have are all the squares, and I've never put it together. And I'm wondering if I bring something like that. I bet someone else in my guild knows how to crochet those granny squares together, or could help me if I get stuck, or help me get started on it. I bet. So that could be a really good project to bring. I would love to have that one done. That one was started way too many years ago, and got put aside, and I'm still digging my way out of all of those things that I started a long time ago. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before on my videos how many UFOs I have, and it's way too many, but I'm working my way through them. So I said, I'm trying to be pretty good about how many I start. And so there are some sew-alongs, going on right now, like socialites and Moda blockheads and things like that. And I did not start any of those. I purposely avoided them this time around so that I could keep working on my UFOs. Or I could, what else I could pull out is I could pull out a kit, because one of my goals was to work on kits this year. And Sorry, I'm looking this way because I'm laying out my next block. Sorry about that. I hope that's not distracting. I'm trying to get my next block set up. So I wanted to get some of my kits made. I really didn't think that I had that many. I really didn't. Because it seems like I really don't get them very, it's not like I order them online all the time. But when you get them over the course of 10 years and you're not making them, it does add up. So I could look at bringing a kit and starting something new there. If it's already cut out, if I can get it already cut out and get myself familiar with it. But my first goal was to get this mystery quilt into a top and get the flannel quilt into a top. And let's see, there are, oh, you know what? So I didn't show you on my new start. I'm working on my string blocks. I'm looking over at my design wall. I have those great big string blocks. They're 16 inches finished. And I really, really like those. Really like the way my string blocks are turning out. I can go grab one. And at some point I was going to do a tutorial on them. I would have worked on it this morning, but I didn't have another block set up. So I hadn't brought it over to work on. Let me stitch this and I'll go get, but I think my string project would be fairly portable and I could bring that on my retreat. So we're going to stay at one of the state inns. And I really like staying at the state parks. Because that's just I'll probably take my running shoes and get out there and go run a couple of times. Because all of that sitting, right, is probably we need to go out and do a little walking or something after all the sitting and get some fresh air. Because if it's a nice weekend, then yeah, I want to get outside a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to that. And maybe that will get me back where I guess I hoped I would be by this time of the year. Like I said, it was kind of hard not having any finishes in the last month or so, because it seems like I always do. And then there's a quilt shop nearby there too. So that's going to be really fun. I'll get to go to that shop, which I really like. And it's, oh, what's the name of it again? Unraveled is the name of it. And I went there during the shop hop last summer. I went there for the first time. Really, really liked it. They have a lot. They have a lot of merchandise. So it's a pretty good sized store. So I'll be really glad to go back and go look at that shop again. I know I have it. I mentioned the Shop Hop before. It's by Shop Hop Inc., and they have Shop Hops in several different states. And the one in Indiana goes May and June this year, like it did last year. But since I did all of the shops last year, I am not going to be doing the Indiana one this time. If we do get to go traveling in May a little bit or later in the summer, I'll go and I'll look at shops in those states because I'd like to go. I think it'd be fun to stop. Okay. Oh, good. I'm glad that's working for you, Beth. Yeah, was it last time that I showed how I did that foundation without the string blocks with, let me go get one. So here is my big 16-inch finished block. And when I have the paper down on, I will lay the first two strips close to the diagonal. And in this case, I probably put the red strip on top of the green strip and sewed that one down to the paper. And then, and pressed it, not open, but pressed the red one away from the center. So that's the back. And then after that, I'm just using the paper as a guide for size. So I would lay it back down and lay the next strip and make sure that it would cover the length that I need. But then I don't sew through the paper. I just pin the new strip on and in a couple spots, like 3 or 4 pins. And then I can use a regular stitch length. So all of these were added. Usually I work from the center and go out both directions. And when I said, oh, I didn't have one ready to sew, I didn't have a foundation paper cut yet. And I will often just tape a couple of newsprint pieces together in order to get a size big enough, just regular Scotch tape. And I try not to press through it or leave a lot of heat on it, but it doesn't seem to be a problem. So I didn't have that ready. And then the other thing that I really like to do is I like to lay out all my strips ahead of time. I like to make all of those decisions, and then I can stack up my strips. So if I have the red and green sewn and then I'll have a stack that starts with this, and I'll put this on top and on top and on top and on top. And I keep them in the order that I have them arranged. And then I just kind of go back and forth and go and stitch one side to the other, which is why I thought I would do a little tutorial on it. But I'm not sewing through the foundation. And when it's done, so here's one that I'm done with. And I sewed, let's see. I guess I can only find half of it. So I'll stitch through the diagonal, and then I can reuse the paper and I can stitch through the diagonal going the other direction. So I can do that probably twice each direction and get a lot of use, out of the one paper, because I don't necessarily start exactly on the diagonal every time. And when I trim up the blocks, when I take the paper off, then I can give it a good press. That this is not cut exactly for 2 strips to go through the middle. So that is your choice as well. If you want those 2 strips to go exactly through the middle, then I would draw a line down the middle, and I draw the 1/4 inch line, so that you'd line your fabric strips up along the 1/4 inch, and then when you sew, you'd be sewing on the diagonal, not on the 1/4 inch. Does that make sense? Anyway, you have to account for the 1/4 inch if you really want your strips to be to have a center seam on each of these blocks. So, but I really, really like the way these are coming out, and they've been really fun. And maybe I will get to sewing another one later today or tonight. We'll see. And I have 10 of them so far. And I think I'm just going to keep sewing on them until I run out of those strips, of that pile of 30 strips that I have. So, that's not a long-term project, but I really enjoy working on it. And so, it'll take whatever time it takes. I'm not too worried about it. So we've got a few minutes left. Oh, one other thing I thought I would mention. When I showed you the flannel quilt, and what else did I I guess that's what I used. I have an AccuQuilt, and I don't know how y'all feel about having an AccuQuilt machine. I thought it was going to really help me kind of do some scrap busting, and I actually don't use it very much for cutting up my scraps. But I did use it to cut out my flannel quilt almost entirely. And so I would just say that what I have found is I use the strip dies the most, and I use them to cut my binding strips. I have a 2 1/4 inch strip die to cut my binding. I use the 2 1/2 for my flannel quilt. I'll cut, when I'm cutting these 2 1/2 inch squares for this quilt, if I'm not cutting scraps, I am, if I have like a fat quarter or something, I use my 2 1/2 inch strip die to cut at least to cut the fur to strips, and then I can subcut myself the rest of it. You can use it to cut the other direction as well, but I generally don't. So over the years, that's what I have found that I use the AccuQuilt the most for. In case you've ever thought about getting one. And I do have a bunch of other dies. But the ones that I go to all the time are the strip ones. The other one that I used for a specific project, and that was the clamshell. And 2 other dies. Okay, so I love using when I made my clamshell quilt, and I guess I could show that another time. that was so helpful because it had the notches for where to match up the curves, and it made it so much easier to stitch those clamshells together. So I really, really liked that die. The other die that I have used a whole bunch is the Bowl Cozy die. And if you're going to sew a lot of bowl cozies, for me, it was so worth it because again, it has all the notches for you so that you're not having to mark everything yourself. And so if you're doing enough of them, it was, to me, it's worth it because I could make that process just a little bit easier and faster. And if I'm in, like, if I have a special fabric that I bought that I really, really love, I'll make myself a bowl cozy, a new bowl cozy, just so that I get to enjoy it and use it, and use it often and see it. So I'll just pop the two fabrics on there. I think you need a little bit bigger than a 10-inch square for them. And I'll just pop that onto my die and cut that out, and I can have that bowl cozy made in a half an hour. And so that was, to me, a real time saver, a really good one to have. And like I said, with the strip dies, when I was cutting all of those flannel strips for a quilt that's predominantly in the strips, that is a really, really efficient way to get all of your strips cut. So I recommend it for that, but at least that's how I use it the most. If you were going to sit down and make a specific quilt with a specific die, I think it can make the cutting a lot easier. So, let's see. What do I want? So we're just about out of time. And I just want to say thank you for keeping me company. I hope that I kept you company while you were doing some of your binding, your cutting of scraps, or your sewing, or whatever. Or you can come back and maybe catch the rest. If you didn't get to catch all of it today, that maybe you come back and catch the rest of it some other time when you are relaxing and sewing. And so I just want to say I'm glad you could be here today. And I will be back again on the first Saturday of May. I think that's kind of been the first Saturday has kind of been working out for me. So next Saturday in May would be May 4th. Right? That's a good day to sew. May the 4th be with you. And so I hope you'll come back then. And hopefully I made progress on all of these. Maybe by then I'll have something that's been finished and can share that with you as well. So I'll have my next episode out probably by next weekend. So you can check out what's going on there. And I put out a video every Wednesday about my long arming. So if you'd like to see what different patterns look like I know long arm patterns can be difficult to look at on a paper and figure out what it would look like on fabric. So that's one reason why I do the long arm videos. So there's a bunch of those that you can check out, so that if you're trying to figure out what pattern you might want on a quilt top that you finished, that you're going to have done by your long armor, maybe it'll give you an idea for what you'd like to have on your put on your next quilt. And so you can look for the Wednesday videos, and then hopefully I'll get to that string block video. I'll get to record that pretty soon. Anyway, I hope that life treats you well. Until next time, I hope life is treating you well, and hope you get to the chance to do some sewing or some traveling and spending time with family and friends. And I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.